I woke up feeling like something wasn't quite right. It was a subtle feeling, like a hairline fracture that you can't see but can feel when you put pressure on it. I brushed it off as morning grogginess and got ready for work. But as I was walking to the train station, I noticed something odd. The same woman seemed to be passing by me over and over again, as if in a loop. I shrugged it off and kept walking, but then I noticed the same cars parked in the same spots every day, the same people walking their dogs at the same time. It was all too perfect, too repetitive. And then it hit me. What if my entire life was a simulation? The thought sent shivers down my spine. Was I just a pawn in someone's experiment? A glitch in the system? The more I thought about it, the more I noticed things that didn't quite add up. My memories felt hazy and disjointed, like they had been patched together by an amateur editor. I needed to know for sure. But how do you prove something like this? How do you even begin to unravel a simulation that's so perfectly crafted? I didn't know the answers to those questions yet, but one thing was for sure. I was going to find out the truth, no matter what it took. As I stood in the rain, my mind was spinning with all the thoughts and emotions that had flooded me after discovering the truth about my reality. I tried to convince myself that it was all in my head, but the glitches and oddities were too numerous to ignore. I knew I had to find answers and a way out of this simulated experiment, but I didn't know where to start. That's when she appeared, a woman with bright green eyes and jet black hair. I didn't know her, but she seemed to know me. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. "I don't know," I replied, unsure of what else to say. "I've been watching you," she said, "and I think I know what's going on. You're not crazy. You're just waking up to the truth." "The truth?" I repeated, skeptical. "Yes," she said. "You're living in a simulation. Your life, your memories, everything you know is just a construct, but you can break free from it." I was speechless. Everything she said sounded insane, but a part of me couldn't help but wonder if she was right. Maybe I wasn't crazy. Maybe I was just trapped in this simulated reality, and the glitches I'd been noticing were just the cracks in the code. "What do I do?" I asked, desperate for answers. "You have to look for the anomalies," she said. "The things that don't fit. That's where you'll find the answers. But be careful. The system is designed to keep you trapped. They don't want you to escape." I nodded, not sure what to make of her words, but deep down, I knew she was right. I had to keep looking for the glitches, the oddities that didn't fit with the world around me. And maybe, just maybe, I could find a way out of this simulation. But as I turned to ask her more questions, she was gone, vanished into thin air. I was left alone once again, with nothing but my thoughts and the rain pouring down around me. But somehow, I knew that I wasn't alone in this fight. The woman had given me hope, and I was determined to keep searching for the truth, no matter where it led me. I continue to walk along the street, lost in my thoughts, trying to make sense of what is happening to me. Suddenly, I hear footsteps behind me, and I turn around to see a woman in a business suit walking towards me. "Excuse me, sir," she says, "but I couldn't help but overhear your conversation earlier. I think you might be suffering from a mental illness. I'd like to help you get the treatment you need." I look at her, feeling a surge of anger and frustration. "What are you talking about?" I snap. "I'm not crazy. I know what's real and what's not." The woman takes a step back, her eyes widening in surprise. Okay, she says, holding up her hands. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I just want to help." I take a deep breath, trying to calm down. "Look," I say, "I appreciate your concern, but I'm fine. I don't need any help. I just need to figure things out on my own." The woman nods, still looking worried. "Okay," she says. "But if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here for you." With that, she turns and walks away, leaving me alone with my thoughts once again. I continue walking, trying to make sense of everything that's happened. But no matter how hard I try, I can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. Suddenly, I see a glitch in the simulation. A car disappears and reappears in the same spot. I stop in my tracks, my heart pounding in my chest. I can feel my sanity slipping away, and I don't know how much longer I can hold on. Just then, I feel a hand on my shoulder. I turn around to see the woman from earlier standing behind me. "I'm sorry to bother you again," she says, "but I think I know what's going on. I think I know why you're seeing these glitches in the simulation." My eyes widen in surprise. "What do you mean?" I ask. The woman leans in closer, her voice low and urgent. "I think you're not the only one who's aware of the simulation," she says. "I think there are others, like us, who know the truth, and I think they're trying to contact us." I stare at her in disbelief. "What are you talking about?" I ask. The woman takes a step back, her eyes darting around nervously. "I can't explain everything here," she says. "It's not safe, but I need you to come with me. There's someone I want you to meet." Without waiting for my answer, she grabs my hand and starts leading me down the street. I follow her, my mind racing with questions and doubts. But deep down, I know that I need to find out the truth, no matter what the cost. Grant Clark woke up in a dimly lit room, his heart racing as he tried to make sense of what had just happened. Everything had felt so real. The glitch in the simulation, the mysterious woman who tried to convince him he was crazy, and the shocking revelation that he was not living in the real world. But now, as he looked around the sterile walls of his room, he realized that it had all been a dream. A woman in a white coat entered the room, clipboard in hand. "Good morning, Mr. Clark," she said in a gentle voice. "How are you feeling today?" Grant rubbed his eyes and sat up, still trying to shake off the feeling of disorientation. I don't know," he stammered. "What's going on? Where am I?" The woman smiled reassuringly. "You're in a mental institution, Mr. Clark. You've been here for a few weeks now. Do you remember anything about why you're here?" Grant struggled to remember, but everything was still hazy. "No, I can't remember anything." The woman made a note on her clipboard. "That's okay. We'll work on that. In the meantime, how about some breakfast?" As the woman left the room, Grant lay back down on the bed, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Had it all really been a dream? Or was it some kind of twisted experiment being done on him in this institution? Over the next few days, Grant worked with his doctors to try to piece together his memories. They told him that he had been suffering from a mental breakdown brought on by stress and anxiety, and that he had been placed in the institution for his own safety. But as Grant began to remember more and more of his dreams, he began to suspect that there was more to the story than his doctors were telling him. One day, as Grant was walking through the halls of the institution, he heard a voice calling his name. He turned to see the same woman from his dream, the one who had tried to convince him he was crazy. "Grant," she whispered urgently, "you have to listen to me. You're not crazy. You're not in a mental institution. They're still trying to keep you trapped in the simulation." Grant's heart raced as he looked around, but nobody else seemed to have noticed the woman. "What are you talking about?" he hissed. "Who are you?" The woman shook her head. "There isn't much time. You have to find the glitch. You have to wake up." With that, the woman disappeared. Grant stood frozen in the hallway, unsure of what to do next. Was this just another part of his dream? Or was it possible that the woman was real, and that there was something more sinister going on at the institution? As Grant began to investigate, he noticed more and more glitches in the simulation. Little details that didn't quite add up, conversations that seemed scripted. And then one day he found it, a glitch that opened up a crack in the fabric of the simulation. Grant pushed his way through the crack, and suddenly he was standing in a bright white room. Men in lab coats stood around him, staring at him with surprised expressions. "What's going on?" Grant demanded. "What is this place?" One of the men stepped forward. "Mr. Clark, you've been part of a very important experiment. Your experiences in the simulation will be invaluable to us in understanding how the human brain processes information. But now that you've found your way out, I'm afraid we'll have to end the experiment here." With a nod of his head, the man signaled to the others to take Mr. Clark back to his room, where he would eventually have his memory wiped, rendering his experience non-existent in his mind. If you liked this video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any more action.